Going from Kong to Godzilla, we have Godzilla himself, the 2016 version from the film Shin Godzilla. And oh boy, is this guy a doozy because he was essentially discontinued the moment he was released. What I mean by this is you can obviously see how atrocious this thing is, really. But because of his insane rush job, they actually discontinued him for a while and replaced him with a much neater Shin Godzilla, which I'll just grab out for a brief comparison. We won't be talking about him for a majority of it, but you can definitely see he just looks a lot more tidied up than this one does. But this is about him. Never thought I'd have to talk about this guy again, but whatever. So, for the mold, he uses the NECA Shin Godzilla mold that I've already done a figure comparison of with. But as you can see, they kind of like simplified it and put him in a weird posture with his head not going straight up, but going straight ahead with the head elongated. And as a result, it looks more like a Muppet. It almost looks like a hand is supposed to fit in there, and then it goes ma 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 ma. That's almost like what it is. The eye paint is one singular white circle with a black dot in the middle, which I'm pretty sure they just took the Kong Skull Island route, and that black is literally just part of the figure plastic. And the teeth paint, the oatmeal for teeth is still here, and we have a kind of like a red underside for the tongue because it's supposed to be painted like a tongue. There's not a tongue in there, but there's come on, that's what Playmates was trying to do. But the red itself is alright. It's nothing too bad. Of course, the teeth are painted abysmally. Like, that is. That is atrocious. The spines are actually really well molded, even though, again, they are of the NECA mold. And they are pretty flexible. Mine still kind of got that issue. I never bothered to glue it, just because I like keeping it this way, kind of. And we have, like, the outer row of red fins. The fins themselves are not painted, but the outer row of fins are. So they kind of go down to where they meet the tail, and that's basically all the paint you get. All that is entirely blacked out. However, we do get some paint on the kind of like some mop paint on the ribs, which it kind of goes moving the shoulder up. We kind of have like two streaks here, two streaks right there, two spots there, one, two, three right there, and that's like about it. They didn't paint the whole section. They didn't add any sort of spray, which I get it. It's a rushed figure, but come on, they could have at least added at least a spray. The claw paint, it's done all right. It's nothing like too bad. That's actually probably the neatest part about the figure is probably the claw paint. Because again, there's really nothing to screw up. You're just literally dipping it in gray paint. For the shins, like of course going all again a little bit over the detail, we have like some more like that scaly type webby detail. I'm not gonna go over in depth again because I've taken a look at this figure in the NECA Shin Godzilla like who knows how many times. We have like some sort of like rose looking pattern. This almost looks like a rose or an anus. We also have like some red spray, like it's a circular splotch of it right on the leg here on the thigh, and it's like that on both sides, except here it's a bit more elongated on this side. So it looks alright. And also, of course, we got like the big compact thighs, and then we kind of go on down more that really crisp detail. Of all the Godzilla figures here, this has to be at least the most well detailed, but definitely the worst execution of the paint. Like, the foot has the classic four-toed foot that the next Shin Godzilla has, no extra toes, but does have the claw painted. Mine's got an extra little drippage right there, but that's alright. Nothing on the underside of it, just more like the blank copyright, like copyright 2020 and such. Made in China. And we do have more again of that paint on this foot, and then kind of going on down to the tail, where it's obvious that they definitely took the NECA mold. We have some like red paint, which looks good enough. Like if they continued it for the rest of the tail and actually added the red here, that would look beautiful. But no, it's only on these three slits and these three slits back here. And there's an entire section here that doesn't have any of it. Then it comes back at this one where they got like four more. And then This section's completely missing it, and then they go back to painting it, but they kind of painted it a little too soon, and then it kind of got to like the tip of the tail where they kind of started painting it again. And it's a bit on the more side as far as like the paint is. Well, actually, I take that back about the claws. This is actually the most really well painted. I like this paint. I like this. I genuinely do. Is it the best? No, not by a long shot. But for what it is, it was actually pretty good. And like just talking overall, it's obviously clear that this guy was never meant to exist. Like the whole point was just because GVK got delayed, so they had to make some figures. So the fact that we even got like any classic figures is kind of amazing, but at the same time, that's kind of what it is. So let's go ahead and talk about the articulation, since there's really not much to talk about in the way of sculpt and paint anymore, because we kind of already went over it several times. Head is on a swivel at the base of the neck, so you can move a full 360. So thankfully there is no like hindrance there, which is why they give this guy head posability but not the 21 Godzillas. I have no idea. Shoulders can go about like, I don't want to like push it too much because it could start grinding up over time, but you can get a fair amount of range. This one can kind of go up. This one, they kind of go like in odd positions, so not really like any use for the arm posability. Nothing at the waist, but we do have some leg articulation. This leg can kick forward about that far, backwards about that far, and the foot can swivel. This one, this leg, can go forwards about that far, and backwards about that far. So literally only this amount of range. That is kind of pathetic. But we do have some leg articulation. And we have two ball joints here. This one's acts more as a swivel. And if you split this, like, if you try to turn it, it'll actually start splitting the plastic. And just shows how bad of quality it is. But this ball joint's actually pretty nice. Like, this actually has some mild play to it, which I'm still pleasantly shocked about even to this day, that it functions the way that the original NECA did. I genuinely wonder if they like they actually like took the piece off and molded it this way. Like it's cut the exact same way. Maybe they did. But overall, definitely again, even it's the only Godzilla 6-inch figure that was released during this wave. But for what it was, it's definitely, well, okay, I should probably clarify. There's only Godzilla, not Space Godzilla, Godzilla that they released during the first wave. Because, like, it amazes me that this guy was so rushed, but actually has some actual good qualities. Like, for example, it has a good sculpt, and the paint, where there is paint, like, right here, it's actually kind of nice. Like, the tip of the tail is actually pretty nice, but everything else is no. It's an overall bad figure, but it's like a so bad it's good appeal. Because you look at this face, you're like, oh man, what happened to this? Like, it's kind of like that. So, that's my personal thoughts on the Shin Godzilla.